This is a video lecture on Chapter 1 of your textbook entitled Melody, a Musical Line, and I'm going to start by playing for you a melody that I think you will all recognize. Obviously, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Fun fact is that it's the same melody as the ABC song, and it's also the same melody as Baa Baa Black Sheep. So very familiar melody to us. The first question is, what's the melody in that? Is the melody this? Or is the melody this? And I think we'd all agree that this is the melody. Okay, why is this the melody? Because it is the main musical line. It is the line that we sing. It is the line that we leave coming away from a concert humming. That is our melody, whereas this is something else, and that we're going to talk about in a later chapter. It is not the melody. It is not the part that we walk away singing. So it is not the main musical line. How do we describe melody other than to say, that's the melody? It's pretty, it's nice, I like it. How do we describe a melody? Well, there are three ways that we can differentiate between melodies. The first way is the contour of the melody, which means the shape of it, how it rises and falls. In Twinkle, we start with this note, and we go up. Okay, you hear how that note is higher. We go up, we keep going up, and we come down, 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 down. Okay, so that part of the melody has a rise and a fall. And then it starts high and comes down, same thing. And then one last time we have a rise and our fall. So we would describe the melody, the contour of Twinkle, as going up and then down, with a few sort of downward arcs in the middle, and that's how we would describe it. We would talk about in terms of the shapes. Some melodies, the contour goes straight up, some go down, some do more complicated things. This one is more of a smooth arc. So the first way is contour. The second way to describe a melody is the range of the melody. The range is the distance between the lowest note of the melody and the highest note. In the case of Twinkle, the lowest note is that. Okay, we never get lower. We never get lower than that. That's our lowest note. Our highest note is this one, right, which happens right at the beginning. Right, we never go higher than that. We never go up higher. Okay, so the range is from here to here, and we describe range by saying that it's a narrow range, or it's a medium range, or it's a wide range. And in this case, I would say that Twinkle is a medium-ranged melody. It's not really, really big, but it's not also really, really narrow. It's somewhere kind of average in the middle. An example of a melody that has a very narrow range would be Three Blind Mice. Where this is the lowest note and this is the highest note, and there's really not much distance between the two. So that would be a narrow range, Twinkle somewhere in the middle. The third way to describe melody is whether it's a conjunct or disjunct motion. And what that has to do with is the distance between the notes in the melody, and whether they are right next to each other or whether the notes are far apart. And we talk about that in terms of the interval between the notes. The interval is the distance between the notes. So two notes that have a very small interval, that are really close together, would be these two notes. They're very close together. Notes that are really far apart, something like that, that's an extremely large interval. And so when we're describing melody, we're asking ourselves, are these notes moving in conjunct motion, which means that they're all really close to each other, or are they moving in disjunct motion, which means that they're separated, they're far apart from each other? In the case of Twinkle, we actually start with a leap. We start with a big space, a disjunct motion, right? It goes right up there. After that, all the notes are right next to each other. So from that point on, it's in conjunct motion. From here, these are all right next to each other. They're all right next to each other, and then this is a disjunct, and then conjunct all the way down. So twinkle is mostly conjunct with a few moments of disjunct motion, but mostly those notes are right next to each other. The intervals are very small. An example of a melody that has disjunct motion would be the Star Spangled Banner. Okay, where the notes kind of jump down and then they jump up. Right, those are all separated, then it jumps up and then it jumps down. Disjunct motion is sometimes harder to sing than conjunct motion because the notes are kind of leaping around. So our Star Spangled Banner, our national anthem, is actually somewhat difficult to sing, as maybe you all have noticed. So to review, melody is the main musical line, and we describe melody in 3 different ways. We describe it in terms of the contour or the shape of the melody. We describe it in terms of the distance between the lowest and highest notes, which is the range. And we describe a melody by whether it is in conjunct or disjunct motion.